So our LEQ is all about differentiating between the different sentence structures. There are 4 sentence structures in all. There are simple sentences, compound sentences, complex sentences, and compound complex sentences. These structures are all determined by 2 things. Number 1, how many clauses are in the sentence, and number 2, what type of clauses are in the sentence. So to begin at the beginning, the first type of sentence structure is the simple sentence. A simple sentence contains only one independent clause. So one independent clause on its own is a simple sentence, such as Terrence answered the question. Here is a non-example of a simple sentence. Terrence answered the question and Marcia agreed with him. If we take a look at this non-example, we will see that I have 2 subjects, Terrence and Marcia, and 2 verbs, answered and agreed. Therefore, I have 2 independent clauses. That is not the case for a simple sentence. A simple sentence should only have 1 subject, 1 verb, such as in the example, Terrence answered. However, it can have a compound subject or a compound verb. So a compound subject means that I have multiple people, places, things, or ideas, such as in Dalia, Heaven, and Marty work together on their project. They together form 1 subject, even though there are multiple people. Or there can be compound verbs, such as Alyssa raised her hand and answered the question. Those are all just one independent clause because it is the same subject doing both of those actions. Here is a sentence that has both a compound subject and a compound verb. Dalia, Heaven, and Marty sit next to each other in class and work on their project. Now it's that one group of people that is a subject doing 2 things. It is still an independent clause. It is still a simple sentence. What I want you to do now is to go through these 5 sentences, circle the subjects, underline the main verbs, and in that label column over on the left, write S if it is a simple sentence. Not all of those sentences are simple sentences. So if you have realized that there are multiple sets of subjects and verbs in that sentence, that's an unknown sentence structure. Leave the label column blank. Only label the sentence as S if it is a simple sentence. Pause the video. Once you have finished labeling your sentences, come back to check your answers. So this is what we should have come up with. I've identified today as the subject of the first sentence, since that is what the sentence is about. And then we've got the linking verb was following today. When we continue on through the sentence, however, we will see that there is another subject, she, the pronoun referring back to me. And I have an action verb associated with that subject, met. So since I have 2 pairs of subjects and verbs, I know that this is not a simple sentence, so I have not labeled it. In the next one, Mrs. Mulroney, Mr. Totaro, and Miss Lane. There are seemingly multiple subjects, but there are 1 compound sentence working as a group. So I have identified that as 1 subject. Made fun is the verb, the action verb. Since there is 1 pair of subject and verb, it is an independent clause by itself. It is a simple sentence. And number 3, Miss Galgano is what the sentence is about. Was is the linking verb, just helping to link Miss Galgano to the adjective sad. So I have Miss Galgano as the subject, was as the verb. But if we continue on, we see that Miss McDonald and Miss Heller are another group of subjects, and cheered is the action that they are doing. So I have 2 pairs of subject and verb, so that means that there is more than just an independent clause going on in this sentence. It therefore is not a simple sentence. On number 4, we see that the sentence is about they, them, and they are doing two actions, so two action verbs, joked and laughed. But both those joked and laughed relate back to the same subject. So I don't have two pairs of subject and verb, I just have one subject and two verbs. That is okay, that is still an independent clause, that's a simple sentence. And then in the last one, number 5, the sentence is about the global studies teachers. They are the subject. Are is the linking verb, connecting them to the adjective nice. So global studies teachers is my subject. Are is the verb, and that is a simple sentence. Moving on now to our next sentence structure. The next sentence structure is compound sentences. Compound sentences are made up of two independent clauses and no dependent clauses. These independent clauses are connected together either by a comma and a coordinating conjunction, that's the fanboys, for and nor, but, or, yet, so, or the independent clauses are connected by a semicolon. Here are some examples of compound sentences. The Howard Wildcats won the homecoming game and all of the students cheered. You will notice that now there are two pairs of subjects and verbs because I have two independent clauses at work here. So Howard Wildcats won is one pair and students cheered is my second pair. In the next one, the students waited anxiously for the bell to ring, but class had only just begun. So students waited is one pair. My apologies. Class should be highlighted in red. Class is my second subject. Had begun is are my verbs there. So I have two pairs of subjects and verbs. Students waited and class had begun. Here are some non-examples of compound sentences. I wanted to go to the store but couldn't get a ride. So here I have a subject and a verb paired, but if we look over to couldn't get, there isn't a subject over there. So that's simply a simple sentence. And the next one, Brentiana and Imani asked every single student for candy. Sure, it looks like I have two subjects, but I don't have another verb to pair along with them. So I have one set of subjects and verbs, so that is also a simple sentence. What I want you to do now is to do the practice. You're circling the subjects, you are underlining the main verbs. Now, if it's a simple sentence, you're labeling it with an S. If it's a compound sentence, you're going to label it with a C. If it is an unknown sentence structure, leave the label column blank. Pause the video, come back to it when you are ready to check your work. So in the first example, we have the students walked into their period 8-9 and started on their warm-ups. The sentence is about the students. Walked is the action that they did. That's the only set of subjects and verbs that I have, so I know that to be a simple sentence. In the next example, I have their teacher reviewed it with them, and everyone edited their work. So I've got the subject teacher and the verb reviewed, and then I have another subject everyone and the verb edited. Since there's two pairs of subjects and verbs, and it is connected by a coordinating conjunction and, I know this to be a compound sentence. And the next one, class was off to a great start, but then the fire alarm went off. The first subject is class. The linking verb is was. And then I've got fire alarm as the second subject and went as the verb that's connected by a coordinating conjunction but. So that's a compound sentence. And number 4, everyone was. Everyone is my subject. Was is my linking verb. And they is then my next subject. And filed is my verb connected by the coordinating conjunction but. That is a compound sentence. Number 5, the students were hot and sweated while they waited. Students is my subject. Were is my linking verb. They is my next subject. Waited is my next verb. But wait a second. Where's my coordinating conjunction? Where's for and nor, but, or, yet, so? Or where's a semicolon? I don't have either of those things. So this is a red flag to me that number 5 is not compound. It is a sentence structure that I haven't learned yet. And number 6, finally, everyone is allowed back inside. Semicolon, Class could resume. Everyone is my first subject. Was is my linking verb. And then class is my next subject. Could resume is a helping and action verb. It is linked together by a semicolon. So since I have two pairs of subject and verb and it's linked by a semicolon, I know that that is a compound sentence. At this point, go into Schoology to complete checkpoint 3. You have all the takes that you need to get a perfect score. Stop the video now, please.